Hello, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to do an unboxing and review for Ethan Van Sciver's Cyberfrog Rekt Planet. Let's jump into it. Let's go. I'm going to get our Fat Max here. I'm going to cut right in. I'm going to go big. I'm going to go big on this box. See what's inside. Alright. There we go. Let's see. As long as there's nothing too crazy in here. Pop it open. Alright, well, our first look is we've got a bubble wrapped figure. We'll slide the box over here. And we'll unwrap him. Okay, we've got a nice Cyberfrog figure in the box. We'll set him over there. Toss this bubble wrap aside. We've got a Cyberfrog sticker. Hold that up to the camera there. Yeah, it looks pretty good. Shiny, shiny. And we've got a pack of trading cards here. We also have a Cyberfrog keychain. And what else do we got here? Okay, we got another sticker. Okay, I'll pop that up there, just so everybody can see it. Beautiful salamandroid there. All right. And then, so now we're going to get to the meat and potatoes. I'm going to slide the cards and the figure and everything to the side here. So we have Salamandroid color zine. We also have in here, pop this sucker open, and we'll pull these out, as we slowly make our way to it. I'll set you down here. So we got the Salamandroid color zine, and we also have Cyberfrog Heartsick Horror. Boom, right there. And then we're going to go to the big daddy. And that would be Cyberfrog 2 itself. Rekt Planet. Pop this open here. So at first blush, I haven't read the book or anything like that yet. But at first blush, for what I paid, this seems like quite a generous package, quite a nice package. Yeah, you got the figure, you got 3 books, stickers, cards, and a keychain. It may have taken a little longer than usual, but we got it. It came, and yeah. So yeah, I think without having sat down and read through all this, just to kind of give a feel for what you're getting here. You're getting 3 books. No spoilers, just kind of a quick little flipperoo kind of thing. Yeah, I think it's a decent bundle. You're getting a lot for your $25 plus shipping. So yeah, I'm gonna go now. I'm gonna read these books, and I'm gonna tell you what I thought of them. All right, see you soon. Okay, we're back. I've sat down. I've read the Salamandroid color zine. It's a cute little side story about Salamandroid and a young girl. The Heartsick Horror is kind of a lead up to this book here, Cyberfrog 2. I'm kind of, what's the word? Disappointed is too strong a word. I'll say that. I'm kind of, I guess my frustration with this as a whole is that there's some pacing issues. And without really spoiling much of anything, I can just show you a simple pacing issue from the jump. Cyberfrog wakes up. He runs and jumps. He's like, oh, I'm going to go find her. He's like, what's he say here? How long have I been out? Where's Heather? The microbead. I left a tracer on her. Is she okay? I've got to go find her. We are 3 introductory pages in, And he's like, hey, I've got to go find her. And then we flip the page, and he's found her 2 seconds in. Like, there's not even a, hey, I found the signal. There's not him wandering through the woods and coming upon Lily. There's not really an introduction or a trepidation or an awe of them meeting each other. It's just into them talking. There is no setup, and then Heather just shows up. It's like, hey, what's up? There isn't really a bill. It's just like, hey, I gotta go find her. I've found her. Brevity, I suppose, but like this book isn't what I would call brief. It's a sizable book. And so yeah, there's some weird things like that. You know, you can tell your middle chapter, your dark middle chapter, you know, darkest before the dawn type of story without ending it on a cliffhanger that people have been waiting for. Now, if these books were coming out in a more regular fashion, it might be a bit more forgivable to do the classic, like, 22-page book, end on a cliffhanger, and then the next one comes out, and you're kind of doing that. But with these books, you really have to tell one functioning story that functions on its own and has a beginning, middle, and enjoyable, fulfilling, good ending where you're like, oh, that ended well, but you know there's more to come. And I'm going to be honest, this book doesn't do that. I really wish it did. I'm not saying the book is terrible. I'm not saying it's bad. It's a little long-winded. I just don't think that it is what it could have been, maybe. I don't know. It's been 2 years. It's really hard for me to, I don't know, grade it on a curve. I don't know, that's the thing that's kind of frustrating about it, because, like, you know, like, I could open to any page, right? I could open to any page, and the art is strong. You know, like, aside from some pacing issues and maybe some things that you're like, oh, that should have been a page turn, or you know, why is something a full page spread, or that doesn't really need to be. You know, maybe some things like that. Well, that's art direction, that's design, that's what you think is important, that kind of stuff. And so I can't speak for what his intentions were. I can only speak to how I perceived it as I read it and how I flowed through the book. You know, so I guess that's my thing. Like, don't want to spoil these books. You know, oh, and I also will say, back to these original, I had a weird annoyance with the first books too. So, like, if at any point in time, if you bought this Diary of Heather Swain makes this whole thing better. They never should have been apart to begin with. Like, this should have been right in there, day one. Should have been part of the whole package. Like, I feel reading this without this makes this lesser, right? Like, this is a more complete package with them together. And I think maybe at some point he has put them together. Not 100% sure on that, but just specifically that, like, coming into it, that's kind of the thing. Like, and I actually, like, I genuinely enjoyed this as a start, and this as well. Like, this as a beginning is really strong, and I'll say that before I get into anything else. Like, this as a beginning is really strong, and I really enjoyed it, and I was excited for this package. And now that we're here, the reality versus expectation is definitely, they have not met. And maybe some of that's my fault. Maybe some of that is the hype or anticipation. Because here's the thing. I don't feel that this or this in any way, shape, or form is equal to the Diary of Heather Swain. No offense to the artists involved. I know there was 2 other artists there, and Ethan wrote the scripts and stuff like that. But as interesting as these are on their own, like, they're okay, but they're mostly throwaway. Like, this is a cute little story, it's throwaway. It's not necessary, but it's okay. I mean, for what it is, for extras, They are more than competent. I'll say that. I'm not here to shit on the work. I'm here as a customer reading and consuming the content, as it were, and how I felt about it when I was done. And so even take price out of it, take all of this stuff out of it. Yes, this stuff is really cool. I like this little figure. I think it's sweet. This keychain is pretty cool. These stickers, cool. The trading cards, also cool. No complaints. But where the rubber hits the road kind of thing is that this ends on a cliffhanger with very little action. Like, a lot of talking, a lot of wasted time. Do you know what I mean? Like, this book could have been half this size with the same tone, the same story, the same weight, as it were. There's a lot of, what's the best way to put this? Manga will draw things out, right? They will rest on a scene. They might, just show a street light or whatever to kind of break up the pacing. So sometimes it feels like they're padding things out, but it's almost as though it's like a refresher, an exhale, an inhale, whatever the hell you want to call it. Kind of, let's pause a beat, right? And I think that's something that, American comics don't do, and they don't understand it. They don't, it's kind of like, an establishing shot in a film. You have that establishing shot, then you go to someplace else, the story happens, there's another establishing shot to be like, okay, this is where we've moved to. All right, take a break from the action, now let's go to the next part. And so, with a lot of this, there could have been more establishing shots. There could have been, less, okay, fair enough, this is an establishing shot, but that's the first page. We're not taking a breath from anything. We're not taking a break. We get here, and like I said, he gets to here. There could have been more of him being introduced to the Pine Barrens, right? When he gets there, when he's looking around, he thinks that Heather's close. And I'm focusing on this part more because I don't want to spoil anything. I don't want this to be a spoiler review and whatever. But I'm focusing on this specific part because it's within the first 3 pages of the book. And it's kind of what you're going to see as you go through this book. There's just a lot of, here's the thing, and then we bounce to something else. I don't know. It was one of those things where this isn't an establishing shot in the way that you would want it to be to make more impact, I guess. A lot of stuff feels, it's weird. I feel like for a book that is so thick, I feel like there's spots where it rushes through things that might have helped a bit more if they were expanded upon, and then it stays on scenes or on people that don't matter. Let's just say there are people who very much don't matter, and we waste a lot of time on them. And I know why we waste the time on them, and the same person's in this book that's in this book, and questions are asked and questions are answered by the time you get to the end of this book, and that's fine. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with getting to where we got. But at the end of it, it's not that, here's the thing. It's not that I was left wanting more. It's that I was left being that's it. That's where you're going to end it. And so it didn't get me excited for another volume of this, another tome, another chapter, whatever you'd like to call it. It actually ended, and I was like, really? You're just gonna cut it there, because the thing is there's not a lot of action in this book. I'm just gonna say that right now. Very little actually happens. This feels more like a season of The Walking Dead. We'll say the first 5 seasons, because after season 5 the show was complete trash. We'll say this feels like a season of The Walking Dead where basically it was a lot of build-up. You lost somebody, or something, big happened to the group, and then the season ended, but nothing really was accomplished. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, say they had a goal to get to a town, and so they're making their way to the town, but, the town's in sight, but they never get to that town, and then someone explodes in a fiery zombie death, like, whatever. And so, I think that's my biggest problem with this, is that there's just a lot of what to me feels like treading water to get to the next episode. Or the next season. If you want to call this season 2 of Cyberfrog, we spent a whole bunch of time treading water and didn't actually get to the next city. And we didn't even get what I would consider a fulfilling start, beginning, and end closure to what's happened in this. We just got a cliffhanger. It answered a question, but more made me annoyed on the last page, that when I turned it to go, that I was like, really? Like, that's what all this built to? And so that's the frustrating part for me, like, on a story level. Like, the art is excellent. I cannot complain about the art. Like I said, there's some pacing issues and stuff like that. But overall, like, the art is excellent. Like, you can't argue that. You might argue that things here and there, like the odd time Lily doesn't exactly look like the same person from panel to panel. Like, that's the thing. Like, but it is what it is. But yeah, that I guess that's my thing. Like, honestly, like, as a review, I would find it hard to recommend just this, if that makes sense. If you were buying a volume of 1, 2, and let's say 3 has a solid full ending, right? Or if he's going to go to 4 chapters. And that's what makes this hard for me. Just as a piece of media on its own, even remove, like, okay, say you could go to an online store or walk into a store today and buy 1 and 2. I don't know if I could recommend that. Like, I really don't. Because, like, you're still not getting an end to anything. You are still what I feel like is halfway through a told story with both of these books. And I'm saying both of these books as this being a must include with that. I'm torn even saying this. I'd almost be very tempted to wait for him to be done at this point. Do you know what I mean? Like, I would almost be tempted to, because I'm not buying these as a collector. I'm not buying this with some kind of, how should I say, collector's mentality. Like, this is going to be worth something, so I should take care of it and put it in a little sleeve and get one CGC graded. I just don't care about that stuff. It's not even this is, I just took this out of the bag that it came in. Like, that's the thing. Like, same with this, they'll go back in the bags, they'll go in a box, but I'm not collecting it like I was picking up a Spawn #1 back in the day, or picking up for the monetary value, or thinking it's going to be worth something down the road, right? So there's a part of me as a reader that would almost be tempted to just wait for this to be done and see, like, I don't know, because, like, okay, I'm torn on it, but we'll open up this right in the center, it's right in the thing. So, like, as much as I enjoy the work, right, like, as much as I enjoy seeing these pages, poring over the art and looking at how it's done and all that kind of stuff, like, from an artist's perspective, there's a part of me that would just want to buy the third one, right? Just because I just want to see it and pore over it. But as a guy who just wants to read a story and be entertained, I would almost consider skipping until it was done, just so I could read it. Like, and that might be 6 years down the road from now. It might be 2. Like, I don't know. Yeah, so, like, it's a really interesting predicament. Like I said, I don't think it's terrible. I just didn't leave it fulfilled. I didn't leave it like with like a, oh, that's a good story, and I close the book. And so that's kind of the frustrating thing, like when when you have these middle chapters and then there's so much time between the first one and the second one, and now that like even like being generous, like I'll be incredibly generous. Even if this was coming out even if Cyberfrog 3 was coming out this time next year, I guarantee it won't be this big, right? That is the thing. Like, he's not going to start putting out trade paperback sized tomes that are 120 pages or 150 page things to give you a more complete story. Do you know what I mean? Like, the reality is at some point he'll probably put these two together. And I keep I'm sticking on my guns with that. Like, these two, this is one book. These two together as a trade or something like that. And then he'll do 3 and 4 or whatever as a trade down the road. And then maybe collect them. And then you'll get, a side stories, oddities book. That's the way I would do it. But that's either here nor there. So yeah. Oh, it's without spoiling the book, because I don't want to. If you want to get into it, that's great. If what I'm saying here has intrigued you, cool. But for myself personally, I was just kind of disappointed with it. It's not like, I don't know if I was gonna throw a number on this at a 10. I'd say a 7.5. Because the thing is it's like, it's competent. It tells me a story. I just am not satisfied with the story. Like in a sitting, like even if like, and I had reread this very recently because I had gotten my tracking number for this. So there was the anticipation of it, and I still really like this. Here's the thing. I still really like this. This is like a good opening act. This is a good start. This got me really excited. I have been a fan of Ethan's work from all the Green Lantern Rebirth stuff like that. And then when he started his own YouTube channel and all that stuff, like, I'm fully aware of who he is and what he does, and I'm a fan of the work. And so he's gotten a lot of goodwill from me as a purchaser, a supporter, whatever you'd like to call it, because of Green Lantern Rebirth and his work with Jeff Johns and all those character designs and all that kind of stuff. So, do you know what I mean? There's no, I don't know, like I wanted this to be exciting. I wanted this to end on a high. Other people, maybe they might have a different effect on how it ended and the progression of the book and the pacing of the book. Yeah, I don't like that. That's the thing. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I will say, like, I was excited. I was even telling people, like, hey, I got this thing coming. I can't wait to sit down and read it. And I think this is a cute little story, and it's neat back matter to have. And there's some little stuff on the back and some recolored showing the differences and stuff like that. And then also, like, the two little stories in this they're perfectly fine, and it kind of builds right up to a point in this. Like, this goes right up to the 2018. And then there's a part that's shared centrally with these two stories. And so, like, yeah, like, that stuff's neat. Like, there is world building there, and all that stuff is important, and I enjoy it. I enjoy the stuff, right? But I do think this could have been more. And maybe that's what's so frustrating about it. Maybe it's the potential, the expectation, and then the reality. Yeah. I feel like I'm leaving it on a really, like, down note. But like I said, I like the universe. I like the characters. I like Heather, Lily, Cyberfrog, Salamandroid. A lot of the enemies are really cool. There's a bit in it that's very heavy-handed. Be better, do better, kind of thing. And so there's definitely some, hey, this is pretty obvious what's trying to be said here. He didn't put it subtly, You know, he took a plane across the sky and wrote it out, but which is funny in its own way, like, you know, enjoyable. Like there are certain, like, you know, there are certain layers to this and aspects of it that are kind of more than surface level, and I appreciate that, but also there's going to be a ton of people who are not going to get a lot of that. And maybe some of the parts that I don't like about it, no, because I honestly feel like the pace of it, like there are a lot of parts in this book where I feel like they languished almost on parts that just didn't need to be languished on. And there was some stuff in it that was just like, okay, you proved that guy was an idiot. And that kind of thing is in shows like The Walking Dead. The leader who's doing all this stuff. Anyway, I'm trying to stay away from spoilers. I really want to get into certain things, but yeah, I don't know. Like I said, like there are definitely parts I enjoyed, but there are still parts like while I was reading it, I'm just like, nothing's happening here. You know, and some of it's very wordy, and so yeah, I don't know. I'm really torn on it. I honestly am, like, but yeah, I don't know. That's just how it is. Like, yeah. But yeah, I don't know. Check it out. Okay, that's gonna do it for me. If you like what you've seen here today, like, comment, subscribe, ring that bell for notifications, share it out on social media, tell your friends about it, let your mom know. Cyberfrog 2 is out. All right, everybody, take care. Bye-bye.